What's up everyone? I'm going to take you through the second training vlog today, but today I'm going to give you a full day of eating along with it, and I'm going to take you to wrestling training. So I have breakfast, going to hit the gym, quickly I'll take you through that, going to eat again, and then going to hit wrestling. I'll take you there too, and I'll show you the rest of the meals of the day. Woke up today at around 81.5 kilos, so down a little bit. I'll explain a bit later anyway, because right now I am cooking little Mia's breakfast pancake going on here, and then I'll get mine done, and then I will be showing you that first meal of today. All right, so this is my first meal today, breakfast. It's 7:30 this morning. Got up a little early with our little one waking us up before 7. You might be able to hear it in the background, but just to give you an idea, this is pretty much what I've been eating most mornings, or some kind of variation of it. So if you can see here, it's literally eggs on toast. There's 3 whole eggs, 3 egg whites, and then 2 of these Aspen Mills honey breads, toast, whatever you want to call it. If you're in the States and you have Costco, this bread is awesome. It's literally 5 ingredients. It's flour, water, honey, salt, yeast, and it tastes awesome. You don't even need to put butter on it, nothing, when you're having it with eggs. So I'll have that, and then I'll always have some kind of fruit with it. So this one's just 100 grams of seedless grapes. So I usually do like grapes, pineapple, or orange or something like that. It just works really well in the mornings for me. So I'll have fruit, and I'll have this. Sometimes I'll have some kind of oats, and like protein oats or something like that, rarely. But this is usually my staple for breakfast. So this will fuel me up for the first training, and then I will take you through to the next one. But yeah, as I mentioned in the previous clip, woke up at 81.5, which is a tied new low. So I've been there once, back down. We had our wedding anniversary during the week on Thursday, so had a frozen margarita and a couple of other bits and pieces, so weight fluctuated a little bit, but I'll run you through that anyway. We were chatting in the car on the way to training anyway, but that is the first meal of the day. All right guys, so we're in the gym now this morning. It is, I think it's a little after 8:30, so I ate my breakfast at 7:30. A little hour later, just getting some foot stuff done to start with. My ankle it's getting better, still a little stuff, but I can do most things, hence why I'm heading to wrestling today or this afternoon. So I think where a lot of people get mixed up when they're trying to lift and do martial arts, is they don't know where to put the lifting. And within grappling arts, I think before works really, really damn well. Works well for me. It's like an extended warm-up. Obviously, we're not talking about doing this crazy bro split 20 sets of chest only. Like you're gonna do something horrible to yourself if you train like that for your combat sport. Or even if you just train like that and you're doing combat sports recreationally, I don't think it's a good idea. They just don't mix very well. So this is a concept called microdosing, and it's probably one that is used a lot in professional sport, because professional sport now, you have such congested schedules. I'm sure if you're a fan of any sport outside of martial arts, you see teams playing games every week, or even 2 or 3 times a week. And in those scenarios, they don't stop training. They don't just throw away strength training. You start doing that, you run into all sorts of problems. So they find ways to do their strength and conditioning in those congested schedules. And one of those concepts is microdosing. And I've used it pretty extensively within professional sport. And the concept is you're doing very low volume of work that's relatively high intensity, but it's not gonna give you the fatigue and carry over to whatever it is. So today would be a perfect example because I'm going to class today, and I don't want to beat myself up so much now that I can't train, essentially, or I increase my risk of injury. So today's really simple. I'm literally just going to do power clean push press, full body strength and power movement to get that in. I might do a little bit of neck as well and finish with some really low volume, just squats, just to get into the bottom position. I think as well, if you're an older, so if you're watching this tomorrow, I'll have a solo podcast that comes out. I talk about some strategies around training if you're older or if you're really beat up. And this is a really good strategy if you're lifting weights before you go to do your martial. Obviously you need the time to do it as well, but if you're doing that, it's like an extended warm-up, and your body will feel really damn good going into your training. So I'm gonna finish some of these warm-ups, and then we'll get straight into probably some neck to start. I'll take you through that, and then straight into the power clean push press. You know what, I'll take you through my warm-up for today, but my warm-up includes my actual main work too. So I'm gonna do some neck. I'm gonna use my iron neck. If you don't have one of these, I seriously recommend it. I think they've got a huge Black Friday sale going on at the moment, so there'll be a link down in the description if you want to grab one of these. But I use mine religiously, and I'm telling you now, it's the only thing that has fixed my neck pain. For example, get neck cranked, or I don't know, you wake up funny on the side of the bed. I've tried things where like neck hammocks, where you kind of like traction the neck lying down. It does sweet fuck all. The iron neck, the 360 spin, and then the left and right, which I'm going to show you now. Those are the two most bomb exercises you can do, and your neck will feel so good, and you'll have way more range of motion at the end of it. Honestly, it's nice. I got to do it kneeling because that's just kind of where I attach it. My squat rack is a cheap piece of shit one, so it will move. But I'll show you some of this, and then I'll show you my second exercise. So that was the left and right, facing towards and away from the band. You can also do it sideways if you want to target the side of your neck more. But now I'm going to superset that with the assisted reverse Nordic. If you do have knee issues or you really want to warm up your knees, I highly recommend this one too. As you may have been able to see, I could get further and further back with each rep, which is what I really, really like about that. It puts a huge, well, not a huge eccentric load, but you get a little bit of an eccentric load, but obviously it's assisted to help you, because if you did it without these, you're probably going to stop partway back if you're not good at them. So using the assistance really helps. It gets you into that end range, which is nice. Obviously, with true eccentric overload or true eccentric training, you're getting muscle architecture adaptations that are very unique to that contraction type, which is that lengthening under load greater than you can do through the concentric. So if I can come back up without, let's say I could go down backwards with no assistance, but I could come back up, it's eccentric, but it's not a true eccentric load. If I can go down backwards, but I can't come back up, now we're getting into a point where the eccentric load is greater than what I can bring back up, and that's when you get these lengthening of muscle fibers, faster contraction velocities. You get to increase the angle in which you can produce peak torque or angular force. So from an injury reduction standpoint, now you can produce more force at longer muscle lengths, which, you know, in the quads at least, is probably not as important for grapplers, but you know, in the chest and arm, for example, if you get into funny positions, it could help. So yeah, that's just a couple of things going on there, but I'm going to do a couple more sets of this and then we'll get straight into it. So now we're going to get into the first main exercise, potentially the only exercise I'm going to do in the session, and I'm not going to do crazy volume. Usually I'll do something like 2 plus 2, which still isn't that taxing, as in 2 power cleans, 2 push press. But I think I'm literally just going to do 1 plus 1, do a few sets of that at a work up to a heavyish load. And then if I wasn't heading to class, I would potentially do something like sandbag carry and a bunch of other things like that to train the back further and just some of the upper body. But because I'm going to class, I'm just going to do this, and I might do some easy front squats just to get into that deep knee bend position. So we'll get warmed up. Always start a little stiff, but I'll get another bar or two done, and I'll show you the first warm-up weight. I just saw that classes are cancelled today. Thought I'd double check the time. Looks like they're restaining the floors, which puts a little bit of a spanner in the works of what I was going to do, so that's all good. We will adapt. Unfortunately, I won't be showing you any of the actual combat training in this video like I thought I was going to, but I'll show you what you can do if this happens to you, maybe. So I'm going to continue doing this. Now, instead of doing 1+1, I'm probably going to do 2+2 now, get a little more volume in. Then I might do a few sets of front squats, just get that going, and then I might just finish with the sandbag carry, and then it'll be a full body session there, and that's relatively easy. I'm still going to take you through the rest of the day of eating too, so that's all going to happen the same. Just that, unfortunately, there will be no wrestling, which kind of sucks. I had it all planned, but that's okay. We'll get to this. So my wrist is bugging me a little bit just on that rack position, so got some wrist wraps on, and we shall continue. One thing to be aware of is if you're also going through some kind of fat loss phase or moving down a weight class or whatever you want to call it, you will see some reductions in strength. Typically, a lot of it from upper body, mainly, especially from pressing movements. And then a lot of the compound movements, you kind of lose a lot of the, I guess, the feeling of stability from having a big upper body when you do some compounds, so bear that in mind. You won't be hitting new PBs during this time, but that's not the point. The point is you're getting leaner, and then you're either going to be in a lower weight class, or you're getting leaner so you can be bigger in your weight class. And the fact that you're going to work your way back up and you're going to be leaner at a heavier body weight. So that's the idea of doing something like this, but I think this might be my working set. If it's a little difficult, I might just do 2+1, but we'll see. Not a bad set. I'll do one or two more there. I think we'll call it there for that one. Now, if you're doing as I originally planned, you would be done for the whole session. So you'll be able to get like a 20 Well, I'm talking a lot in this as well, so probably like 20 minutes, 30 minutes max, you could get a session in before you go to your training. And you've done a full body strength and power session just from doing that. And then before that, you've already hit your neck and you've done a little bit of stuff for your quads and knees, just like that, in 20 to 30 minutes. You could do something like that before if you had the option. Or for every class, if you didn't have the option to have a standalone gym session. So, yeah. I'll see what I'll do next, and then I'll take you along. So I'm just going to keep today very simple. So I did the power clean push press. I'm literally just going to carry the sandbag now. Honestly, I'll probably put myself through some pain and do most of the street. Kind of like the max distance bear hug carry, but not really max distance, more just like max pain bear hug carry. So honestly, if you have a sandbag or you are looking to add sandbag work to your training as an MMA athlete or grappler, hell yeah. If you're going to get one, you want to get the Iron Mind sandbag. They also sell it on Amazon, and they sell it on their own website, ironmind.com I think it is. Unfortunately, not affiliated in any way. I wish I was, because I really like their equipment. But obviously the Iron Mind sandbags are used within World's Strongest Man. You can fill them to any weight you want. You can fill them so heavy that you won't even be able to lift. And they're super durable. So I've had a couple of them. A couple as in because last time I was living in the States, I bought one off Craigslist, I think off a recently divorced wife who was selling all her husband's equipment for dirt cheap. So I got an Iron Mind sandbag filled for like 30 bucks. That was a steal of a century. But now I got one on Facebook Marketplace too. So sandbag carry, the nice thing about bear hug, you can do like any grips. You can like gable grip, S grip, seatbelt grip, butterfly grip. Obviously depending on how wide the sandbag is and how long your arms are. So those are really cool options too with the sandbag carry, and you're gonna smash your upper and lower back and mid back. And it's just one of those awkward exercises that you can't replicate. You can't replicate with anything else. And that's just why I like it so much. So I'm gonna do that. And depending on how I feel, that'll probably be my conditioning too. So it's almost like a 2-in-1. Then I might have to run our little doggo up the street just to get some energy out of it. But whether I do that now or I do that a little later when my wife trains and stuff like that, I might do it then. But yeah, so sandbag carries now. I'll take you through that. I'll walk it up the street for some pain. So, the worst thing about carrying the sandbag, actually there's a lot of worse things about it. One, you're pulling it into your stomach, so when you can't breathe, you just can't breathe worse. And then, it's not just your heart rate and your lack of breathing that sucks, like your whole lower body just gets absolutely, like my hammies are pumped from walking. So, I'm gonna do one more of those. And then, yeah, I'm gonna run our little doggo up the road just because she's full of energy, get some energy out of her. And then it gets a little bit of my, I guess, conditioning done that I was gonna do at class that is no longer there. So probably, I think on Monday I'll be heading to class. So I'll take you guys along with me on Monday as well. So this is today, Saturday, vlogging it. You'll be watching this hopefully on Sunday. So this was yesterday, and then I'll vlog it on Monday. And if I do vlog it on Monday, which I should do, I'll upload it earlier. I'll upload it on like Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that for you. and the informational video. I've got an informational video coming out on the in-season wrestling training, and then I'll put that up on something like Thursday or whatever for you guys too. So heaps of content to come. Also, I actually, before I take you on to my next one, make sure you check out the Sweet Science of Fighting podcast channel. If you look that up, I moved all the podcasts there. Apparently it's YouTube best practice to help grow the channel. So that's all there. So all the podcasts haven't disappeared. They're still on Spotify, etc., but they're on a new channel. But let's do one more of these. Alright, so that is both sandbag carries done. That wasted my mid back too. Got little Mia here. Well, her mum makes some pre-workout because she's going to train soon. Usually we train together, but today I was going to train a little early so I could vlog this for you guys and then head to training, but obviously no other training. So once Mona's done with that, I'll run this one a couple of times. I'll get a couple of footage of a couple of reps. I won't give you all of them. And I'll take you in for my, I guess you could say my post-workout meal, I guess. It was going to be the between meal, but it's going to be the same anyway, so I'll take you through that. And then I'll take you through the rest of the meals throughout the day, give you some more, hopefully some wisdom along the way in training and shit. So I will see you inside for the meal, and I'll talk to you in the car when I go run a few errands. So this is my post-training meal / pre-training meal that was going to be for the next session, but it's, let me see if you can see here before I add the other stuff. So it's just 50 grams of oats and water, microwaved it, added 40 grams of frozen cherries, and then 30 grams of frozen blueberries, and then 100 grams of flavored non-fat Greek yogurt. This is just a strawberry flavor. Now, there is no such thing as a anabolic window when it comes to eating after training. You don't have to eat straight away. You don't have to smash a protein shake straight after training. But if you are training twice and you have a short window between a few hours, then yes, you should eat straight away. And that's so you can refuel and recover so you have energy for the next session. The worst thing you can do is train, not eat, and then maybe eat something closer to the next training or not eat at all. You will run into problems. So with this meal as well, if you are eating between training, make it highly carbohydrate based, a little bit of protein. You don't need much fat. You can make it like this is pretty much zero fat other than what's in the oats. So you don't have to have, you can, like for example, you could add like almond butter or some peanut butter to this if you wanted. If you wanted some fat in there, but keep it carbohydrate based, protein, and you're good to go. This is what it looks like in the end. Honestly, I hate hot oats, but mixing it with frozen berries and then cold Greek yogurt, it's not hot anymore. So I'm gonna eat this and I'm gonna take you with me. I'm gonna run some errands now that I don't have training, so I'm gonna go run some errands. I'll take you in the car and I'll explain some of the other training concepts and stuff that you might be aware of from what I'm doing in training as well, just so you have a better idea of what's going on, and I'll show you the rest of the meals today as well. All right, I'm testing out this car setup for the first time. I've got Mia in the back, so if she starts crying, I'll cut it short, but just off to Costco, get some gas, get a couple of other baby things that I need to get, but just touching on some of the training things there. So the idea of microdosing, it also plays into the idea of priming. I did a whole video on priming on the YouTube channel. Unfortunately, I don't know if you search, if you search primers, you should be able to find it. I don't title everything exactly how it is because guys like you, I love you guys. You guys will actually click on them and watch them regardless, but you know, for the rest of the motherfuckers out there, they need clickbait titles, so I gotta do clickbait titles. But essentially the idea of a primer, I've used them extensively as well within professional sport. A lot of teams, big teams do use them still. It's the idea of doing some kind of physical activity 6 to 48 hours before competition. So actually my last jiu-jitsu competition, I did like light power snatches and light power cleans the morning of the competition, and people go like, why would you lift the day of? And you see, well, a lot of the research shows you see improvements in jump performance, sprint performance, just power development, later on in the day or the following day, depending on what you do. And there's a lot of different ways to do primers. It kind of depends on your training age and stuff like that. Obviously, if you're relatively new to lifting, it's probably not something you want to do. But in terms of actual priming, what you would call it, modalities, you can either do like heavy strength training. For example, you're doing like 80-90% for sets of like 3, or you can do more like ballistic style power movements. And typically you'll see like heavy resistance training translates well to explosive movements, but also to like more strength-based movements. And then your power-based or speed-based movements transfer well to speed-based movements, but not so much to the strength-based movements. So you can kind of play with that as you will. The biggest thing is you want to do such little volume, you don't have the fatigue. The fatigue is what will kill you. And people, if you do them wrong, you know, you kind of fucked up your competition. So you need to, don't do it like, for example, don't just do this the first time you compete. Do it like on a training day. On a training day where you train the similar time that you compete, just to get a feel for how you feel doing it. It's a nice concept because, for example, if you did something in the morning and you had training in the evening or competition in the evening, if you have a double day training day, you'll find that you don't need the same warm up in the afternoon as you did in the morning for that session. And that's because you did something in the morning and it's almost like a primer for that afternoon. The same concept applies. You don't need the same warm up going into that afternoon session, which can make your afternoon session a little easier, better performance, etc., etc. So an example session could literally be what I just did, without the carries and stuff like that, because that's a bit more fatiguing, but something like power clean push press, and then like 2 or 3 singles of squats, you know, and then maybe you could do the same thing with bench press. That would be like a heavy primer. You could do throws, you could do jumps. You just don't want to do something new. Like if you've never done barbell jump squats and then you do that as your primer, that makes 0 sense. Don't do that. So it's got to be lifts that you're very familiar with, you do often, so you don't get soreness and things like that, and you get the most out of them. And that's the idea of a primer. It should take you like 20 minutes. Like that session today, I'm going to talk a bit to you guys, but literally 20 minutes it would normally take, and you're done. And you can literally do that straight before, like really close to competition. Obviously the research shows 6 to 48 hours, depending on what you're doing. But obviously the closer you get, the closer you do this towards training or competition, the less volume, and typically I would say the less intensity you want to do. So I wouldn't be doing like 90% squats that close, as an example. And then the other thing is the idea of the interference effect or concurrent training. So you saw that I did some lifting, and then I did, I wouldn't call them hill sprints, I just call them runs with my dog. And people will put up, in fact I've had people try poo-poo this idea when I talk about it. Oh, you know, doing cardio after lifting, you're just blunting the adaptations to blah blah blah, the interference effect. And I might cite one random study, except when you actually look at the totality of the studies, and especially in a recent meta-analyses, the interference effect is well overblown. Yes, you could go down to the molecular pathways and talk, you know, the mTOR pathway, the muscle building signal from lifting, and then you do an endurance activity and you hit the AMPK endurance pathway, which turns off the anabolic signaling, blah blah blah. Cool, except if this was such a big problem, every team sport athlete would make no gains. Every team sport, I would categorize in terms of training, combat sports, martial arts are very similar, if not the same, as team sports, because you have multiple qualities you need to train in order to maximize performance. So you have to be fit, you have to be fast, you have to be strong, powerful, muscular, etc., etc., etc. Making it a mixed sport, which means you have to hit all these qualities within a training week. If you do not have the time to separate your sessions to be optimal, then you need to do your conditioning, extra conditioning, whatever it is, after your strength training sessions, or after your sessions on the mat, or maybe you have to strength train after your sessions on the mat, just because that's just how your schedule is. When you're trying to find this optimal all the time, that's where people get lost in the weeds. And I find doing the conditioning after the strength training is nice, because you don't really need to do a warm-up, because your strength training was the warm-up. And on top of that, you just get things done. You don't have to do an extra session. And especially if you're training your martial art more often, like, you know, multiple times per week, to be able to fit in extra strength and conditioning training on top of what you're already doing, that's just, it's hard. Especially if you work full time too, you know? You got to be able to fit in, you have to do the training at some point. And yes, okay, you could get up earlier, stay up later, etc. Or you could literally do your high intensity conditioning after your strength training. And then you're going to get the benefits from doing your strength training, and you get the benefits from doing your conditioning. You're just going to do it together. So don't get caught up in this whole idea of you have to separate all your sessions. You really don't. And as I mentioned, team sport athletes will literally train, depending on the day, 2-3 times a day, sometimes once, but 2-3 times a day, and they'll mix these modalities together, yet they get bigger, stronger, faster, etc. Yes, they're on a full-time training schedule, I get that, but the concept still stands. So for an example of a big day, let's say within rugby, and I mean MMA would be exactly the same. So you would do a morning session where you'd split the team in two. One half of the team will be on the field, one half of the team will be in the gym lifting. You swap over. So someone gets suboptimal ordering in terms of going from field-based training into the gym to do strength training. That's just how it is. Other team goes from the gym onto the field. So again, you've just mixed modalities right there. You've done your strength and power work and whatever else, and now you're on the field running around. Then you'll have a break for maybe 5-6 hours, and then you're back on the field again doing another training. So you're doing more, I guess you could say, quote unquote, cardio on top of that. Similar, you'll probably find it similar with MMA. You might do technical training in the morning, and then you might do midday your strength and conditioning or your strength training, then you might have another session in the evening of MMA. So these things happen. It's part of the sport. Again, if it was such a problem, you would have problems in every mixed sport, but you don't. So don't let that be an excuse that you can't mix things together. Sometimes we can be caught in this idea of, oh, I'm not going to maximize strength, I'm not going to maximize my conditioning. Yeah, but who really gives a shit? You're not, unless you are competing in a strength sport or getting on stage as a bodybuilder where you have to maximize those qualities, or you're going to run an ultra endurance event where you have to maximize those qualities because other qualities don't matter as much, then yeah, okay, I can see the point of trying to separate the sessions as much as possible. But you're not in the area of trying to maximize a certain quality. You're trying to maximize a range of qualities across the spectrum that all compete with each other. They all do. Your explosiveness competes with your aerobic or long duration gas tank. Your strength and power can compete with your hypertrophy or muscle building training there. Your hypertrophy competes with your strength and power, vice versa. So you're just trying to find the way to get all these things in without doing, I guess you could say, too much damage to either or. And it's typically around structuring your week well to do it, you know? Like, you got to have certain days where you're undulating your training intensity and volume. So for example, you might be hitting your main strength, power, and hard conditioning on one day. So the next day is kind of like your easy stuff, you know? So Monday might be your easier day. It might be your lower intensity conditioning. It might be, if you need the size, it might be your bodybuilding-esque style training. That's pretty low intensity, not going to do too much fatigue, depending on, and when I say bodybuilding style training, I'm not talking doing, you know, multiple sets of just chest and biceps. I'm talking like, you might do one push exercises for a few sets, one pull exercises for a few sets, a few isolation kind of thing. Nothing crazy, just enough to get some of the lifting stimulus there. And then on the next day might be a strength power work with your harder conditioning. And that might also be your harder technical training day. So you kind of give yourself that undulation. So yeah, the interference effect's always going to be there. Just don't let it take over your training life. But I'm going to fill the car up now, take little one into a favorite shop, Costco, in a trolley, and then I'll talk to you again on the way home about the rest of the day. So Costco on the weekend is really a good idea. Really not like a really good idea, like really a good idea. Especially on the weekend before Thanksgiving. It was damn packed, so, but we got it done. I thought it'd be good just to touch on a little bit more on the diet side. I was just talking about the training on the way here, but in terms of actual diet-wise, currently, sorry, been sick, which didn't help. So when I was sick last weekend, because of some dirty daycare kids interacting with little Mia, I ended up just going back up to like maintenance calories or a little higher calories just because I was sick to help get over that. And then we had our wedding anniversary during the week, so I had a little to eat there. But my weight has been sitting around 82 the whole time and just fluctuating. So now I'm going to go down, try and get it to go down a little more. So I'm at around 2,300 calories, around 170-ish grams of protein, 250-ish grams of carbs, and then around 62 fat. And that's kind of how my days are currently looking in terms of the diet. So I'll usually have 5 meals in the day. I find that works well around training. So I'll typically plan meals around training. And I think that is one of the better ways to go about it. Because, for example, if you only eat 3 meals a day and you eat breakfast and then you might train, but depending on when you're training, you might be hungry before training. So if you eat breakfast at 7 a.m. but you don't train till 10 or 11, that's a big gap between eating and training. So I much prefer to plan my meals around training. So if I have 5 meals, I know I can have slightly smaller meals, so I'm not going to feel overly full, and I can plan that around when I'm training. So if I know I have lifting or jiu-jitsu, whatever it is, at say midday, then I know I'm going to eat breakfast at 7 or 8, then I'm going to eat another meal at like 11 or 10:30, 11, and then after training at like 1:32 or 2:30 will be my 3rd meal. And then I've still got 2 more after that, and that makes it really easy to not fall into a trap of feeling hungry and getting into some kind of cravings or whatever it is. So that works well. The biggest problem is, for example, I was sick and then had a wedding anniversary. A lot of people take that as, okay, I'm not on my diet anymore, so I'm just going to go crazy every day, all day. And that's one of the biggest failures people have if they're trying to move down a weight class, or if they're trying to just, if you're a recreational martial artist and want to look good and be fit, etc., is they go all or nothing, and they go, okay, I'm going to start this diet now, so no carbs from day one, completely change the way I eat. I'm now going to have only 2 meals a day or 1 meal a day, no carbs, this and that. And you wonder why by day 3, day 4, you're like, oh, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I'm just going to have some pizza and shit like that, because it's just not sustainable. And it's a stupid way of going about actually getting results. So for example, I was sick, yeah, I just ate a little more, that's fine. My weight stayed the same, I didn't go crazy. Same with my wedding anniversary. Look, we went out for breakfast. I literally made some modifications. I ate less meals that day because I knew at night we were going to go out and have a drink and have some food. So literally that morning, we went out to our favorite breakfast place and got my omelet with hash browns and toast, but I got my omelet with no cheese. Now I got it with egg whites instead of 4 eggs. That cuts out a bunch of fat just there. It still tastes awesome. And then for lunch, we had our, it was actually a Costco thing, like it was like creamy chicken and rice, cool. And then for dinner, went out, had a frozen margarita, burger, chips, all that. Still woke up within my normal range of fluctuation, like 82.5. And now 2 days later, I'm 81.5 again, just because I hopped straight back on what I was doing. Whereas some people may go, okay, so wedding anniversary, already going to eat bad tonight. Okay, I'm just going to stuff my face all day on top of it, and then the next day. And that's where you run into problems where it's all or nothing, instead of just having an approach, a moderate approach. But yeah, you're going to have days, meals or whatever that aren't part of your plan, or, you know, that you are going to eat out and it's harder to track. Whatever, have that meal. You need to think long term. You don't want to be stuck in this perfection mindset trying to get down to a certain body weight or look, whatever it is you're trying to do. And just because you miss a meal, miss a day, do something quote unquote bad off the diet or whatever, you suddenly go off the rails. It can't work like that. You just need to think long term, make adjustments as you go, and don't be stuck in an all or nothing approach. Because yeah, you're bound to fail. And then same thing with the different diets. Like, they all work exactly the same way. They all work by creating a calorie deficit because you're eliminating an entire food group, or you're eliminating an entire eating window, for example, fasting. So they all do exactly the same thing. There's nothing special about any of them. Unlike what all these diet people are trying to sell you on some random shit. So you can do any, I prefer higher carb. I typically recommend higher carb for everyone because, well, okay, I say everyone, that's everyone in my audience who are training combat sports relatively intensely and lifting, etc. Because you need the energy to be able to train and perform high intensity actions. You cannot do that by eliminating carbohydrates and just eating fat and protein. It's, don't even get me started on these carnivore motherfuckers. They're fucking, honestly, I don't know if any of you are on Twitter and things like that too, but there's so many of them, and they literally just write lies. It's crazy. I don't understand like how you can literally just make shit up, write it, and post it. And you can literally pull like how many billion studies showing the exact opposite of what they're saying. It's crazy. But yeah, that's out of the point. But anyway, eat your carbohydrates when you're dieting down. I'm going to show you my last. So I've had 2 meals today. I've still got 3 more. It's what, 11:20 right now. So I'll probably have my 3rd meal. I like to kind of delay in the day a bit because I like to almost like backload my last 2 meals later in the night, later in the evening, just so you don't go to bed hungry and things like that. So I'll probably have my 3rd meal like 2 o'clock-ish. I've been eating burgers every day. Fuck, so good. Homemade burgers, I'll show you that. That's like, that's bomb. If you love burgers and you love eating out with burgers, just make your own, man. You can make some epic macro-friendly burgers just by yourself. So I'll show you that, and I'll show you some of the condiments and things that I'm using for a bunch of different stuff that's like 0-calorie stuff that can help. I'll probably have to drop my calories a little bit soon just to keep the weight moving down. If I had like a bike, air bike or roll or something in the garage, then I'll probably up my activity level and do some like low intensity cardio stuff, but I don't. So I'm gonna have to do most of it through diet. I mean, I guess I could walk more, but I don't want to walk more. You know, it's just it's just how it is. It's just my preference. So I'll probably have to cut back a little more. I'm not really looking forward to it too much, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how low I get in body weight. I always prefer to be bigger. You know, body dysmorphia and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure a lot of you feel that way. The thing is, when you start to drop weight, you know, you get skinnier. That's just well, yeah, that's pretty obvious. But typically, because your muscles are saturated or filled with water, and obviously as your carbohydrates come down a bit and your food intake comes down a bit, you lose that fullness, and that's kind of, you look kind of skinnier, or not as full, I should say. And there's just mind games that you play with yourself on the way down to stop and go back up. But staying strong, this helps. Documenting this for you guys. I should actually add, you guys watching this now, it's actually Black Friday sale for Sweet Science Fighting Underground right now. And because you're watching this, you are a VIP. So people may email us to VIPs, but you guys are also VIPs. So VIP SSOF, it gives you 50% off the entire damn year, which is fucking crazy. I haven't done a deal like that before, but we're having so many guys loving the programs. Like, I've had so much good feedback from people running the programs and feeling really good doing them. So make sure, the link will be in the description to the actual Sweet Science Fighting Underground, but you get all the training programs that are in there: wrestling, jiu-jitsu, judo, striking arts, MMA, all those programs are in there, and you can get 50% off the entire year. I think it comes out to like 190 bucks for the whole damn year. You get all the training, and you get put in the private community. You can join. You don't have, that's the thing, I've made the community almost like an add-on. Like, I know not everyone likes having a community or being in a community. That's cool. You can just do the programs and not even have to worry. But if you want to be in the community and you want to like ask me questions or post videos of your lifting and shit like that, then you can be in there and you can do that. I mean, I've made brand new programs for people because of questions they've asked in their community or needs they have. So that's just one of the perks of it. Otherwise, you can get a $1 trial. I think it's BF SSOF or it's SSOFBF. I think it's BF SSOF. One of them. Try both, and that'll give you a $1 trial for the first month if you're on the fence. If you're already a monthly member, hit me up as well, because I just someone just upgraded to the year and I just basically refund half because you can't put the coupon code in. But anyway, that's just the Black Friday sale. You should take advantage of that. But I'm going to show you, almost home now, so I'm going to show you my last 3 meals for the rest of the day. Honestly, I wish I could have taken you to training, but I'll take you to training on the mats on Monday. Actually, hopefully, for those of you who are familiar with X-Marshall, we've collabed on our rash guards. They're actually here in Austin right now, and we've caught up briefly, so hopefully I can get them to come to training as well and meet them there and get some footage with the X-Marshall owner and their crew. They've decided to use my house as a Austin-based warehouse right now. So I had a few boxes there, but I'll catch up with you guys soon for meal 3, 4, and 5. So this is meal 4. I had meal 3, but I missed documenting. I was on a call, so I couldn't get the vlogging camera out. But this is just burger bun, beef patty, a slice of reduced or 2% fat cheddar cheese, red onion. Then I've got mustard, which is 0 calories, and gherkins or pickles, which are also 0 calorie. So this would be meal number 4 for today. Meal number 3 was just chicken breast, 120 grams of chicken breast and 150 grams of white rice. Now this one is about 110 grams of 8812 ground beef from Costco, and then the rest is there. So for dinner, we've actually been invited to the 10th Planet Jules event down at 10th Planet Austin. So invited by X-Marshall to head down there. So I'm going to head down there tonight, which changes the plans a bit because I was going to vlog dinner. It's already 5:45 and typically I'd have dinner not too far after that. So probably going to have to play it by ear, maybe get something on the way home to fit, but that's what happens, if you're dining down, life happens, and I'm sure it happens to you too, but I'll show you so you don't go off the rails with it and go crazy. But this will be meal 4, and then we'll see what meal 5 is later. So it's now Sunday morning. I missed showing you the stuff last night, but essentially went down to 10th Planet Austin, hung out with the X-Marshall crew down there to watch the 10th Planet Jules event. It was a cool event. Got to hang out with the crew and see Eddie Bravo down there and all that. So yeah, it was a good evening. I ended up having, it was like after 10 o'clock at night, I ended up having 3 ground beef street tacos. I probably estimated at like 20 grams of protein, 20 grams of carbs, 20 grams of fat maybe. So probably hit my fat target, but under 8 carbs and protein yesterday. I woke up at a new low at 81.3 after all that. I was 81.5 yesterday, so just goes to show, even if you don't stick to your plan exactly, you can still make progress. You just gotta, I just could say, just make smart choices along the way. And even if you don't, like today, I'll be back on track to my normal day of eating. So you can always work around that. But I will probably vlog for you probably tomorrow on Monday, at least the day where I'm gonna go to jiu-jitsu, so I can at least show you a full proper day of training with that plus eating, and I'm gonna get you all the meals. Yesterday was just a bit crazy. I guess it's a Saturday weekend, so it's bound to happen. But I will catch you in the next vlog. Just make sure to like this video, comment below if there's anything else you want to see, and I'll make sure not to fail the next full day of eating for you.